So the real question today is, are you Team Lord of the Rings or Team House of the Dragon? Hey, I'm Alex Ratcliffe from Board Game Co, and this is Week in Review, going over news, game news, topic of the week, what I played, all the videos of the week, and all of that stuff. Timestamps as usual, and links to everything down below. This week, I specifically and intentionally do not have my laptop. I have like 4 or 5 pieces of news, not enough for me to go ahead and, well, it's a chore to set it up and do the video editing and all those things. And so I'm going to go ahead and skip that this week because we have, well, 5 pieces like I said already. The first, in starting off in news, is we have the Board Game Geek Market, which I have mentioned in a prior video is closing down, and now it's not closing down. That's the news piece. It's not closing down. The Board Game Geek Market is kind of back in play. Sort of, mostly. So it still exists. It's a thing in case you're interested in that. Secondly, as far as news, we have Paizo. There's a blog post, I'll link it down below, but from Lisa Stevens, who is the one of the co-founders or either the founder or one of the co-founders of Paizo. I don't know if there's multiple, but she's involved in that, and she is retiring. She has just a long post about, what a long, strange trip it's been, I believe it's called, and it's just about her, a little bit of small little just blurbs about her journey in the industry and things that have led to her to finally be taking a step back, and she's leaving the company in well-run hands, but it's just fascinating. Just even seeing some of the pictures in the blog post is fascinating, just to see kind of like someone taking a step back for having created Paizo, which is not a small company at all, but also just what it's like. It's weird. It's weird for me because I've been in this industry for, I guess, 10 years, but I've been in the other side of the industry for the past few years. But like just to see pictures from people from like 20 years ago, 30 years ago of being in the board game RPG industry, being involved, it's just sometimes it's easy to forget that this industry does actually have more of a history to it than just the past 10, 15, 20 years. But either way, that's just, if you want to see that, I thought it was an interesting post, so someone shared it with me, and I'll link to that in this video. As far as game news, we have a few things. First of all, Dominion Plunder. Dominion announced their newest expansion, the Plunder expansion. I finally bit the bullet, by the way, and decided to go ahead and get all the Dominion content again, the second edition, and the upgrade kits and all this stuff. So I'll be diving into the second edition of Dominion, because apparently it wasn't in my game plan, but eventually got to a point where I was like, you know what, I do want all the new stuff. I'll have to re-sleeve all the stuff. I'm going to have to spend like $100 in sleeves. It's going to melt my mind, whatever it is. We'll figure it out. But yeah, Dominion has a new expansion, Plunder, coming out. Secondly is we have Mind Clash released a direct-to-retail game, Astra. You can check out content, I don't know if it's gameplay or whatever, but there's some content over on Quacklo. There's some content over on other channels, so you can check out Astra from Mind Clash Games. And then lastly, we have Trekking Through History. That's the wrong side over here. Trekking Through History, which was a Kickstarter. They just had their retail release. You can go ahead and buy this thing on Amazon. They just, let me just go ahead and post that. You can see the title there. Let's move it over here. You can see the title over there better. But Trekking Through History is available on Amazon. They have the retail release, and so you can check that out if you want the newest version of, well, the newest game in their series. Which brings us to topic of the week. Topic of the week, which is going to be Lord of the Rings versus House of the Dragon. House of the Dragon or House of Dragon? House of the Dragon. Lord of the Rings versus House of the Dragon. I am 1 episode into House of the Dragon. I am 2 episodes into Lord of the Rings. This will be completely spoiler-free, completely entirely. It will contain my general high-level opinion of these 2 shows that have just come out at the same time, giving us some great new content to watch. It will contain some opinions of these shows, but with complete lack of spoilers. I shouldn't say complete, whatever spoilers there are, going to be like the barest possible minimum of referencing the fact that like people exist in these shows, if that makes sense, like stuff like that. Nothing spoilerific. But if in case you're in any way mindful of even finding out that people exist in the shows, or in case you don't even want to hear my opinion of it, to not bias your own opinion, well, you can skip to the next timestamp on this section, because I'll give you a little 3-second pause while I breathe in, breathe out, and all of that stuff. In any case, okay, Lord of the Rings versus House of the Dragon. Lord of the Rings versus House of the Dragon. I walked into both of these shows with low expectations. Why? Because they're redone versions of existing properties that are hugely well-loved, except, up until, like, Season 4, that is. But whatever it is, generally well-loved properties, with all their nitpicks, all their complaints, all the frustrations people have, they are huge IPs to beat. And generally, my assumption is that most movies, most TV is going to be okay or subpar or whatever it is. That's just the way things work. So why is it that just because you're doing the next version of the next thing, why is yours going to be better? And so I walk in with a degree of, hey, I loved Game of Thrones. I even liked the ending of Game of Thrones, for the record. I know, I'm sorry, I do. I have complaints. I think they lost their way a lot of times. I think seasons 1 through 4 are the best, and I think it definitely stumbled at times, and I had my own ideal ending, but I liked the ending. I was fine with it. I'm not going to spoil it for you, because in case you didn't watch that, I said no spoilers, I'll stick to no spoilers, but I liked Game of Thrones, and so I walked into House of the Dragon expecting nothing. I mean, Matt Smith was in it. Again, this is the kind of spoiler I'm talking about. Matt Smith, the character from like Doctor Who and other stuff too, not just Doctor Who, but I met him in Doctor Who. Matt Smith is in Game of Thrones, and I walked in with that. The characters looked cool from the trailers I saw. All that stuff looked great, but that doesn't make a show good. They look cool. Congratulations. Your CGI budget is better because you're dealing with a massive hit. Whoop-de-doo for you. But walking into it, I walked in with very low expectations. Because it's more Game of Thrones, and I already know what happened, and this is a prequel, and I don't care about the whole... I mean, I do care a little bit, but like I'm inherently less invested because the outcome is predetermined. This is a prequel story. The outcome of their minor subplots might not be, but the outcome of the general higher-level arc, some things are predetermined. And so I walked in with low expectations, and it blew me away. I'm only one episode in. I need to watch the second episode. We're going to watch the second episode, and they're like, hey, Lord of the Rings dropped, time to watch that instead. But I was absolutely blown away by House of the Dragon. I really enjoyed it. Now, having low expectations definitely does help. But they did a good job. They invested me in the characters. They have people who are scumbags. They have people who are not scumbags. They have death, gore, and blood, and all the usual things you'd expect. The way I was talking to somebody else who said they had to like reacclimate themselves. Like over like 8 seasons of Game of Thrones, they learned to desensitize themselves to like horrifically bad stuff, and they got used to regular life again. They have to like reacclimate themselves to it. I agree with that, but I like that. I like that degree of shock factor, not just pure shock factor for the sake of shock factor, but I like that degree of kind of having that extra level of this is real, this is gritty, this is in your face, people die, no one's safe. I like that kind of concept in a show. And I enjoyed it very much. I enjoyed the first episode of House of the Dragon very much because of it. I enjoyed the story, I enjoyed the characters, I enjoyed the intrigue. Yes, there's intrigue and political intrigue and back and forth. I enjoy the fact that the characters who I might want them to have their arc play out a certain way, I don't necessarily see it that way. I overall just really enjoyed the characters, the world building, the visuals, every single thing about House of the Dragon. Having low expectations definitely helps, but I walked out of my first episode incredibly excited for the second episode and just hooked. I am someone that sadly, I'd say for better or for worse, but at least for worse, more and more these days as I watch TV, my phone's out, I'll be replying to comments on YouTube, taking that opportunity that, hey, I'm wasting my time on some movie or TV show I don't even care about that much, and so I'll just reply to comments, and I couldn't. To me, the good TV, good movies are the kinds of stuff where my phone is down and I don't feel the need to pull it out. I always start off with my phone down, and it just gets worse as time goes on. But yeah, House of the Dragon, really enjoyed it, highly recommend it. And then there's Lord of the Rings, which was totally fine. I watched the first 2 episodes. It was totally fine. And for context, we will address some things as well. I don't want to bog this down into many things, but in case you missed it, Lord of the Rings has been completely rating bombed by many people over on IMDb, over on maybe other places. Oh, Rotten Tomatoes. Yeah, I mean, probably in Amazon reviews too, once they release those. Lord of the Rings has definitely been being rating bombed because there's a lot of drama around I don't want to use the word people could use. There's a lot of drama around the fact that they, in many ways and many approaches, they are inclusive to including various races and genders and different things in different ways in a way that was not previously done in Lord of the Rings lore. And that has a lot of people who are upset about their version of the world being tarnished in political correctness. This is the stance and perception. I don't think that biases me to thinking the show's okay, for the record. In fact, the thing that I kept commenting on when I was watching it is there's a particular character who is a white male who just felt so out of place. Again, I don't want to spoil anything, so I'm not using names, I'm using nothing. But there's a white male character in the show who I just felt didn't look like who that person's supposed to be, felt smug and out of place, didn't feel gritty enough for Lord of the Rings. So I definitely have a problem with the characters. One of my bigger problems was actually that. So there's that context as well. But again, I can't speak for that aspect. I will say that, to me, the general characters in the show just didn't feel... I would say it's a mix. Half the characters felt like they were in the Lord of the Rings TV show. The other half of the characters felt like they were in like a teenage, Hunger Games kind of situation coming up. But just some characters were gritty and felt like they had the lore behind them, and other characters felt just out of place. Out of place is the only words I can really use. And that didn't really invest me in the show. Additionally, where House of the Dragon moved and moved and moved, every single thing, quick pace, things were happening and it's going by quickly. Lord of the Rings, for both episodes, felt like they had large chunks with small things that were important. Large chunk, small thing important. Large chunk, small thing important. That's the general sense I got out of it. They felt like they kind of over-invested in the build-up in a way that I guess familiar to the fact that in Lord of the Rings you can walk into a meadow and spend 4.5 pages there only to find out that there are flowers in the meadow. But I think they kind of had that sense. They're not nearly as bad as the books in that sense, but I mean, bad as the books is relative. You might like the books. I found the books to be too elongated. So one of the only times in history where I think the movie is better than the books. But for the TV show, I enjoyed it. I will continue watching it. But I'm not 2 episodes in. Like in House of the Dragon, I want to know what happens. Versus in Lord of the Rings, there's stuff happening, but it took 2 episodes for me to kind of say people are having their discussions and things. Again, this is where I can't really talk about the spoilers. Very little seems to be happening after 2 episodes. It feels like there's a whole lot of build-up, a whole lot of reintroduction to characters and worlds and places and all those things. A few moments that are whimsical and amusing. I just don't care enough. That's where I am with it. Again, I will keep watching. It's not bad. It's just, after House of the Dragon, I just felt Lord of the Rings was a letdown for me personally. Based on 2 episodes. Maybe we'll talk about it again. Maybe the topic of the week when both seasons are done is we'll do another topic of the week covering this again. That's a plan, okay? That's what we're going to do. Anyways, with that, that's the topic of the week, which brings us to what I played, the week in review, starting off with what I played, which is going to have a few things, because I didn't log today's plays yet, but we have a few things from where I left off last time. Don't know exactly where I left off, so it's going to start, as usual, with this over here. So, more Hoplomachus, getting a bunch more Hoplomachus Victorian played. Played the Loop again. Got the Loop with the expansion, the Revenge of Fozilla. Played the expansion there. We have Age of Inventors. I got a play of Age of Inventors in. That's an upcoming Kickstarter. I should have content for that soon, but that's over on Quacklop's channel. You can check out that gameplay. I got a play of Fit to Print in. Fit to Print. I'll be covering it more. I'll be playing it more, covering it more, but Fit to Print is the newest game from Flat Out Games. It's a kind of has the same scoring puzzle they have in general, but with a real-time element as you try to print out a newspaper. But we'll talk more about that. Got a few plays of 9 Minute Kingdom in. I really enjoyed 9 Minute Kingdoms. Is it Kingdom or Kingdoms? I don't know. But 9 Minute Kingdom, really enjoyed it. I'll talk more about it. But that was a very light, cheap, easy, accessible Kickstarter that I really enjoyed. I'll be talking about more, but 9 Minute Kingdoms, good game. Trudvang Legends. Got a whole bunch of plays with Trudvang Legends. There will be a review coming up later this week. We'll talk about it at the review. We'll talk about it in the review. If you want to check out another review in the meantime, you can check out Board Game Ramblings. They have a review on that one. We have Cyclades. Gotten to play Cyclades, which is so good. I love Cyclades. It's been a while since I played it. Oh my gosh, it's so good. I played the Titans expansion, and fun fact, not fun fact for you, fun fact for me. I never realized this, but I apparently never played the Titans expansion on the 4-player map. I know that because we had a 4-player game of Cyclades, we played Titans, I pulled the map over, I was like, I've never played this before. I've played Titans multiple times, but apparently always with 5 players, because I've never played the 4-player map there. But anyways, Cyclades, great game. Got more plays of Gloomhaven in, got some more plays of Fateforge, Chronicles of Khan in, and then got plays of, got a bunch of plays of Hanamakoji Geisha's Road. They had one of the people from the company is actually in Cleveland, and they dropped by and we played that, as well as Songbirds. And Songbirds is not bad. Don't know if I need to play it again. Hanamakoji Geisha's Road is great, so there's that. And that's what I have as far as what I played. A shorter week than usual just because of when I'm filming this. I'm filming this a little earlier than normal because I'm out of town this week. But that is what I have there, which brings us to the week in review. The week in review starting off with Saturday. This past Saturday. I did a Trudvang Legends unboxing. I did an unboxing of the game, dove into it straight after. Basically the next day, dove straight into it. But Trudvang Legends is, we'll talk, the unboxing, we'll talk about the unboxing. The review we'll save for later. But the unboxing, I unboxed the game. It finally showed up. It has miniatures and stuff like a Come On game. You can check that out if you want. Then later on Saturday, we had a review for Forsaken. A review with Travis Chance, with Professor Megan, with Travis Chance, with the designer of the game. Dove into Forsaken, but we'll talk more about that. Really enjoy that game overall, especially at 2 players, although I have not played solo yet, and I want to try the solo mode. Sunday I did a video on this table over here, the Dresden table. It's from Band Pass Game Design. It's been in my videos for the past year plus now, and after having lived with it for a year, I finally decided it's time for a review. Probably should have done it a while ago, but did one eventually. Overall, good table. It's going to cost you money. Factor that in. It is a great table. I did get it for free. Take that into account. I forgot to say that in the review. I did post it in the description. But yeah, they sent me the table for free. It is a very good table, but it is expensive, and unfortunately, the one thing I expressed in the video, the one thing I feel bad about is I can compare it to other tables. I can compare this to my Uniquely Geek table, which is also great, and they both have their strengths and weaknesses. Both have things that are better or worse about them. Both of them are expensive. The Uniquely Geek one I did pay for. But the problem is what I haven't actually ever had is I haven't actually ever had a cheap budget table. And so I can't actually compare them. So there's that lack over there. On Monday, Monday I had Two Back or Not to Back. We dove into full-on Two Back or Not to Back, covering all the stuff and a whole bunch of campaigns. I didn't do one the week prior, so there's a whole lot of campaigns to cover. For me, I think I'm backing like nothing, maybe. I think I'm backing nothing from all the games in the Two Back or Not to Back. So it's a safe week for me this past week. Next week I'm going to be spending some money. There's a whole lot of games going up next week that I definitely want my hands on. Then on Tuesday we had a review for, not really a review, it's a video for Quodd Heroes. It's neither a review nor a preview. It's me with my opinion, but also not enough changed since the so that's not true. It's the second edition of Quodd Heroes. They changed a bunch of stuff. I haven't gotten to try a lot of the stuff they changed. I had the same problem with River Wars recently, where it's like, here's a new version of the game that you can't yet see the whole thing. So I'm like, I know the old game, and I don't have the new game, so I'm in this weird review, not a review space, but in both cases, I like the game, so I'll talk about it. And so I talked about it. Quodd Heroes is fantastic. I like it. Whether or not you'll like it is a different story. Then later on Tuesday, we had a review for Elric. This is, again, a prototype review. Again, all prototypes are not full games. It's just weirder for me when it's a transitionary process. But I covered Elric. Elric's a solid game. I have a lot of good things to say about it, but also a semi-co-op, and the semi-co-op was a problem for me in the gameplay, so there is that. And then later on Tuesday, we had a review for Rise and Fall, which is another prototype. Fantastic game. Really enjoyed that one. Have some things I want to see them do as well to add to it, but overall, really enjoyed Rise and Fall. And then on Wednesday we had a live Q&A, I hope, he says optimistically. Maybe we had one, we'll find out. And then later on Wednesday we had a review for Trudvang Legends, covering Trudvang. You can check that out. Oh, that's funny. I'm realizing now, I'm filming this at a point in time when you could already see my review for Trudvang Legends, but it has not yet gone up yet. So I actually don't have to be so coy. Trudvang Legends, it's a good game. I really enjoyed it. You can check out my review. I thought it was solid. I gave it a whole bunch of plays, and then eventually I was like, I can keep playing the full 20 scenarios it has, or I can call it a quits after 5 or 6 scenarios. And I was like, I'll call it quits after 5 or 6 scenarios. It is good. I do enjoy it. I think I have better games, and I have better campaign games, and I have enough nitpicks about Trudvang Legends that I would rather sit down and play Roleplay Adventures, or Hofflemachus, or Too Many Bones, or the Hunters AD, like both games I know I love, and games I haven't yet tried. I think Trudvang is great. Not great. I think Trudvang is very good. I do not think I need to give it 20 plays to keep playing it. Then on Thursday, we had the top 10 couples / 2 players medium weight games. I did a top 10 couples gateway games, and this one's a top 10 couples / 2 players. I have to figure out the title for this one. I don't know what the title is. Basically, the problem is there's a higher overlap with couples and gateway games. The reason for that is practical stats thingy. Statistically speaking, you're less likely to have both people in the couple to be involved in board games. So very often you have one person who loves board games and one person who's playing games with their spouse. So often couple gateway games is a very common overlap. Versus once I'm moving to medium and heavyweight, sure, you could have medium and heavyweight games for couples too. You absolutely can and should, but at that point I think of it more as 2-player medium. So the title we'll figure out. But either way, top 10 couples / 2 players medium weight games. That video hopefully went out. And then on Friday we had what we backed in August, going over the games I backed in August. And then on, only a few by the way, although September is where things are going to be tough. In September, I think I'm going to be backing like 10 plus games, and the past 3 months I've been very good at backing like 3 or 4. It's been great, saving a lot of money. Apparently I've been saving that money for September. Then we have, that's our Friday, and then we have, that was Friday, well we backed August. Then it's today. Today we have a few things. We have a review for Warhammer Quest Lost Relics from Games Workshop going out, as well as a review for Age of Inventors that should be going up, hopefully. And then finally, that brings us to next week. Next week we'll have a few things. We shall have a Dune Imperium gameplay. I'm going to be leaning into some more gameplays on the channel. Probably expect like 1 gameplay a week at a minimum, possibly 2. We'll see. I'm just leaning more into them, both because I have another camera angle and also because I'm trying to play more games for fun. And when I play games for fun that I already know and love, I find that just more fun, and I'm doing that, so we'll see what happens there. But hopefully more gameplays on the channel. Anyways, we'll find out if that actually happens, but I have like 5 lined up already, so I think it's happening. And then from there we have the games on the table. Now these games on the table, I have at least one of these I really want to play. I'm looking at you, Lacrimosa, but the others I'm not sure if I'll actually play or not. I don't know what we'll see. I want to play all of these. I just don't know if I'll be able to play a bunch of these. We have Trekking Through History, which should be easy enough to play. I already played the prototype doing the Kickstarter, so this one should be easy enough to table. We have Sabica, which I hope to be able to table. We have Lacrimosa, which is the one I most hope to be able to table. This one, Devere Games. Devere Games has been on such a roll for me. You know, I can't, whatever, we'll talk about it. Devere Games has been on such a roll for me as far as the games that they put out, that I've either liked or loved a lot of the recent titles, and I hope that holds up for this one. I have not played Bitoku. I need to. I read the rules. I just didn't get it played. And then lastly, we have The Hunger from Renegade Games, which has just been on my list for a while. Haven't got to the table, so hopefully that actually happens. Probably not. This is a little too ambitious for me. In any case, that is basically it. That is your week in review, and until next time, I'm Alex Radcliffe from Board Game Co. I hope you have a good one. And, well, said it wrong. I'm Alex Radcliffe from Board Game Co. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you enjoy the rest of your week as well, or your next week, and any of that stuff. And as always, I hope you have a good one.